Gosh darn it, guys. I did it again. I'm gonna set you down. Hello. Hey, Ross Lunch. Oh. Nothing like being forced to start early. Thank you, D-Man. Live started early on accident today. Which I don't really know why. I'd really like to know why it do that, or why it did that, or why it does that, even. If anybody knows, let me know. Cold. Maybe I shouldn't have ate before live. Right? Because now I'm cold. I was just gonna send you a thing. Ooh. Snakes. I like snakes. Hi, Mary. Sorry, I don't do well with names. It shouldn't have. I thought it said 1 o'clock. No, it's got an hour. It's got an hour before it's going to be announced. At least I think. Maybe it's a minute, but what time does it say it? It's 1 p.m. It's 1 p.m. Mountain Time. It's 2 p.m. Chicago time. So I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not supposed to be using her real name on on the computer. Sorry about that. Carry me through. Um we're going to get started because I think this is an hour yet. So I want to get started because I don't want to be late. So estuaries are places where rivers meet oceans. They are a diverse habitat which are home to a wide range of animals. D-Man, yeah, I messed up. Uh, Sonia, if you're going to come in here and be rude, you can leave. I mean, it's... I don't know why you would come in just to be rude. You have a choice. Make a smart one. And you too, GE22AU. You can join her. Um, I no idea what you're saying. Many animals come to these habitats in order to reproduce and to have their babies. Um, I might talk about them. I probably won't spend a whole lot of time on them. Yeah, it starts at 2. They are also very delicate ecosystems that need to be protected. And they're a unique... The heck? I just found out that I have my Wi-Fi up. That's lovely. So these are unique ecosystems, and they, in and of themselves, have unique ecosystems tied into them. And they come with some awesome benefits, like 68% of the commercial fish that are caught for us to eat start in the estuary. 80% of the recreational fish that you catch in the ocean are connected with estuaries. Another super important part of estuaries is they are stopovers. So a lot of the animals that you see and associate with, like any number of birds species, migratory waterfowl, stop off at these ecosystems in order to rest up and to eat and whatnot. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. D-Man, about sharks. They also help to filter out sediment and pollutants that come from the rivers. So, especially in areas where you have mangroves within an estuary, the mangroves help to settle out some of that sediment and those pollutants. Plants also help to absorb those pollutants. Salt marshes, seagrass beds, and mangroves all help to protect coastal communities. So they help not only with absorbing the storm surges, but they also help protect against erosion. The plants that are in an estuary help to trap carbon, which helps keep carbon from causing issues up in the air. They also provide amazing places for people like D-Man 9FP who love to explore the water. Fishermen, hunters, legal hunters, and people like me who like to birdwatch. They provide awesome areas for us to visit and explore. There is more to estuaries than simply salt water in or fresh water in the salt water. Did you know that there are also freshwater estuaries? I heard that and my brain went boom. You can have a river emptying into a lake and have different makeup. Estuary. Estuaries, different types of estuaries include bar-built, tectonic, coastal plain, and fords. Forge? Yes. I believe that's the Okavango is an example of that. Deltas are a type of, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Estuaries are 4 times more productive than a ryegrass pasture and 20 times more productive than open ocean. Another really cool thing about this ecosystem are the plants that are found there. They're adapted to deal with that salt, because if not, they wouldn't make it. But those plants, they're not just in and on the land, they're also in the water. And so water column up onto the land, they're doing a really cool thing. They're photosynthesizing, producing oxygen for us and animals. Another really cool thing about estuaries is their pupping places. What is a pupping place? For those of you who don't like sharks, it's a bad thing. for people like me that love sharks, it is an awesome place where they go to have their pups. That means they're babies. Um, the one that comes to mind is the bull shark. They will come in to these estuaries, have their babies, and then head off. And I know they are not alone. I think lemon sharks do this. They will come into the estuary, into the mangrove areas, have their pups. I feel like I am missing stuff. Yes, it's a lot of open ocean is I feel like it's a lot of migratory animals. You're going up, down, east, west. I have seen pictures of beaches taken from airplanes of just the beaches. And yeah, it's crazy to see the large sharks. No, sharks, some sharks lay eggs, but a lot of the big sharks, they don't lay eggs, they actually give live birth. Um, I think I'm missing sharks. A mermaid's purse is a shark egg. So, species like the bull shark. Oh, sorry. Species like tiger shark, basking shark, great white, hammerhead, blue shark, and bull shark do not lay eggs. Their pups are born in the body. Now, some sharks will hatch internally, but a lot of the smaller sharks do not give live birth, they actually lay eggs. So um, horn sharks tend to lay eggs, stuff like that. But another really cool thing is like with the Port Jackson sharks, Hillbilly Man 1974. You know, I only have so much time to get ready for a live. I apologize for not shaving. Thank you, though, for interrupting my live. Just to tell me that. Thank you. Um, some sharks will actually give birth to their pups and they will move then into the into rivers, i.e. bull sharks. Other habitats that are included or connected to estuaries include mangrove forest, seagrass beds, salt marshes, estuary beaches, rocky reefs, maybe reefs in general, river deltas, tidal pools, marshes, sandbanks, intertidal flats, and of course, if we're talking about these ecosystems, we cannot go by without talking about how important these other habitats are to estuaries, especially the mangroves and the marshes, because they help to trap some of those pollutants and some of those sediments that can cause problems. They trap them in where they're at. The pollutants then get sort of covered up by sediment and sort of get trapped. But like D-Man said, a lot of garbage gets into our oceans. They come down the rivers, enter the ocean, and we have problems. We get farms along rivers. They put fertilizer on their land, or unfortunately, there's animal farms, and some of those nutrients from the animals get into the water. That heads down the rivers and into our oceans, and that promotes and feeds the algae that are in the water, and that gives birth to, can you say it with me? Algae blooms. And algae blooms, some of them become red tides. Red tides are deadly. They can kill, and not just fish and wildlife, but they can also hurt us. Car oil and plastics. Oh, geesh. No. Plastics are bad because you never, ever get rid of plastics. They just build and build and build and build, and it's pretty bad. Yeah. We can't treat our rivers bad because that goes out into the oceans. So if there's a problem with the sewer and it leaks, or we have a heavy rain and it washes stuff off the land into the water, that eventually gets put into the ocean because that's just the way it works. Unless you have a river that flows into a lake. And then it becomes a lake problem instead of an ocean problem. Sadly, we fish and build Right. Sorry, guys. Um, it's a problem. When you don't have, when we don't take care of our ecosystems cannot take care of us. If you get rid of the mangrove forest and you damage the seabed or you develop an area and you fill in the marshes and the swamps, um you end up with problems. You don't have the shock absorbers that you need to help during flooding. Marshes, swamps, estuaries, these habitats help in case of flooding. At least the plants do. They're sort of like the marshes are sort of like the sponges. And their soils, believe it or not, help to absorb that. And if that is damaged or that is broken, it creates problems. Are the bypass canals used for flooding? So they can channel off the water into the bypass canal? Absolutely. And that raises another issue. If you build on a floodplain, and you guys have heard me talk about this before, if you build on a floodplain and you build your house there, guess what? It may not come today. It may not come tomorrow. But eventually, your property, your house, is going to flood. Because that's nature. Floodplains exist for a reason. Just saying. Damage these areas, and you not only damage your community, our communities, but you damage the animals that depend on those habitats, like the seagrass beds, sea turtles, fish, invertebrates. They all depend on those seabeds, those seagrass beds, mangroves, crabs, all types of fish, invertebrates, birds. Dolphins will go hunting in the estuaries. Manatees will go and enter the estuaries. So, taking care of the estuaries only helps to take care of everybody else. It's not, I can make a mess in my backyard, And when I say I can make a mess in my backyard, I mean I can make a mess in my local area, and it'll impact my local area, but eventually my mess in my local area, it doesn't end there. An example of that is we recognize that using DDT creates a problem. And we banned it in the US. But we did not stop producing it necessarily. We were selling it to other countries. And guess what? Not everything, not all the animals that live in our country stay in our country. Ospreys migrate. Some of our other birds migrate and end up in these other countries. DDT is not a one-time thing. You don't just go and if it's not being made in our country and the animals are not picking it up en masse in our country, they can still pick it up in other countries. That creates an issue. Fertilizer, like D-Man said, DDT is a pesticide. Oh, I'm sure they did too. Your comment is being held back probably because of what it implies. So let me put it into perspective a little bit. This is a condor egg. Or yeah, okay? This is a condor. Mama has been off feeding on a carcass. That carcass had a buildup of DDT in it. Mama gets DDT into her system and it messes up with the calcium in her egg. So the egg shell is not very thick. Mama will sit on the nest to incubate her eggs, and the eggshell breaks, which unalives the embryo inside the egg. It's not good. The lady that D-Man mentioned knew the situation, and she brought it to the attention of the American people in her book, and that stopped it for the most part. The problem is if it's in the ecosystem, it can be picked up. Well, a DDT is not a fertilizer. A DDT was not a fertilizer. DDT was a pesticide that we were using to get rid of mosquitoes and other bugs. And it was pretty widely used. And it just wasn't affecting condors, it was affecting a lot of birds. Causing them to break the eggs. Yes. So the problem with fertilizers is like I was talking about earlier, where fertilizers get into the water, they create algae blooms. Algae blooms, some algae blooms. I gotta think this through. So plants absorb carbon dioxide, right? They take it in, they produce oxygen. Some algae, rather it's through their waste or whatever, I'm not exactly sure, they produce toxins. And those toxins can hurt wildlife. Another way that this can hurt us or hurt animals is that these plants die. DDT was, let's see. And do you know off the top of your head when DDT was banned? So, we stopped using domestic usage of DDT in 1972. It officially ended December 31st, 1972. So that could be why. Plus, there's other, just because we're not using DDT doesn't mean that pesticides are good for you anyway. But back to fertilizers. Okay. So, what? Either you need to type better or you need to speak English because I don't understand it. And if I don't understand it, I can't comment on it. I'm assuming yes. So, runoff from fertilizers. A lot of fertilizers use nitrogen and they use phosphorus. And if it's good for our land plants, I'm not streaming in your stream. I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds like a you issue, not a me issue. Speak. You know, I'm going to say that's one. Do not come in here and throw in your weight. Probably a bot, yeah. So phosphorus and nitrogen create this ticking time bomb. And sorry. Probably shouldn't have said that. They create this I'm the person that's going to send you packing. Um, if I can finish talk about it, um, I can't even get a thought out without being interrupted. You know what? I've asked you to speak in English. You're not doing it, so um they create this perfect situation where there's oh um they create a situation where there's a lot of nutrients, and those nutrients get into the water. The algae then starts to thrive, and eventually all living things have to pass away. So it's when the algae in a lake or the ocean dies off, it then becomes dangerous to humans and to the life in the ocean. As it decomposes, yes, as it decomposes, those plants, that algae then starts to consume the oxygen. And when there's no oxygen in the water, animals still take in oxygen, even if they're in the water. They have to have it somehow. And without that, animals can't breathe. And so you end up with fish death. You end up with other animals that are maybe poisoned by some of the toxins that are produced. And it just creates all types of problems. So, pet waste, yes, because again, nitrogen, phosphorus, other nutrients gets into there. When we have hurricanes and there's storm surge, that water gets onto land, it takes whatever is there back with it. And so it creates this, yeah, exactly what D-Man is talking about. Where there's too high levels of nitrogen and phosphorus, those two things help make the plants grow, and that creates a superstorm of yuck. It just does. Live today will only be an hour or less. Okay? Because I have something else I want to watch. Eutrophication. I've actually, I think, I'm not sure, but I think I've talked about this. Ooh, I've gained a subscriber. I did. If you type in that word into my channel, it'll take you to a video on the subject. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the nitrogen and the phosphorus getting together. It gets into a river, it flows out to the ocean or gets into a lake, and the plants go nuts. They have all of this food that they can use to grow on. And when they die, they start the bacteria and everything goes to work on decomposing this material, and you end up with no oxygen in the water, and that leads to die off. And yeah, it's not good for anybody. I'm going to see if I can details video link. If you want to read, oh, darn it. If you want to read a little or listen to a little bit more about it after my live, you can read about it. You can listen to it there. But yeah, they are really, really cool places to explore. Sadly, we are damaging them, but yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns? The next live will be tonight at 6 p.m. and it'll be on coral reefs. Friday at 1 p.m. we are. I got to make sure I'm doing this right so I don't offend. Yes. So, like the bay in San Francisco, much deeper. Deltas tend to be. Deltas are where, if you don't know, that is where the river. That's the river end of it. That's where the river is actually emptying into the water. And the estuary is sort of a mix of salt and fresh. Let's see. D-Man, I said we agreed for 6 p.m. Is that right? Tonight's live is going to be Coral Reef. And it'll be at 6 p.m. And then my mind is zapped at the moment. 6 p.m. on Friday, we have a special guest. And we will be talking about all things alligators, or at least alligator myths. And then Saturday, we are talking about accessibility at zoos and aquariums and why it matters. So that is what's coming up this week. So much stuff that I'm so excited for. I know not everybody likes the exhibit focuses, but I do. Yes. Yes, we are. Hey, carry me through. Are you still there? We checked the adding a guest into the YouTube thing, right? One time, and it worked. I did that with you once, I think. Yeah. So we shouldn't have any problem. Just a word of caution. If you are going to be live, just think about that. And I can tell you it's a little bit, being on camera is not that bad, or at least maybe it is. Maybe for some people. I'm okay with it now. The only time I get overwhelmed on camera is when I have to deal with people. Right, you can't curse on stream. No cussing, no hate. And try to keep politics out of it as much as possible. Sometimes it's really hard. um I don't know why that one was not allowed. Also, if you have not heard, because I did post it on the channel, the city that Ben Jam was in, they have avoided a lot of the earthquakes that have been happening in the Philippines. However, that has not been the case this week. They got hit with a 5.8 earthquake this week, or within the last 7 days anyway. There were injuries. No deaths that I know of. I think it's just bad luck. Bad luck and also aftershocks. They do not have, they lost power in the area. I have not heard from him, which I guess if you don't have electricity, it's kind of hard to do that. But yeah. So just putting it out there, good thoughts, good vibes, prayers, whatever you believe in. I'm sure Benjam could use them. The Phoenix Zoo got hit with a storm. Not that anybody that I know of lives there necessarily, but they are closed, at least temporarily, while they clean up. So there's that. I don't know of anything else that's important. I do tonight's or the video for tomorrow. Can I announce that on here? I don't know. I mean, it's my channel. I should be able to. Literal sailor in the Navy. Sorry. I won't sing it and I won't dance to it. This week. Oh, shoot. So this week, for the rest of this week, the videos are cicadas as a group, adult fears about animals affecting kids, hydrulia, I hope I pronounced that right, and palmetto bugs. Sorry, guys. I need to go. Have a great day. If I don't see you tonight, have a great day. Otherwise, I will see some of you guys a little bit later. Be good. And I will see you laters. Bye-bye.